Ready to power up your business results? In today's show, we discuss with Lindsay Fisher from Scottish Pacific why debtor financing could be the next step in your business success. We look at how to successfully manage your financial future with Rachael Thompson, the Smarter Mortgage Lady. Then John Harland from ERG Recruitment looks at how strategic partnerships are the key to running an ethical and profitable business. It's all here on the Engine Business Show.
Kia ora and welcome to the Engine Business Show. I'm Monique Bradley and I'm excited to help you amp up your business success with the Engine. Now, if you're not familiar with the Engine is one of New Zealand's leading business advisory organisations based here in Auckland. And to get the show started, we have a little tip of wisdom from the founder and lead advisor of the Engine, Catherine Cooke. Catherine, what have you got for us today?
Hi, Monique. Well, what have I got for you today? I want to talk about customer surveys. Do businesses actually know what their customers think of them? Now, we have a customer survey that we do in the Engine, and I say to business owners, the reason that you're going to do a customer survey is you're going to get learnings from it. You want to know what you're doing well and what you're not doing well, and then you want to take what you're not doing well and provide an opportunity of learning to be able to do better. And so I get business owners coming to me and say, we're doing really well, it'll come out great. They're puffing their chest out, and the reality is they're not doing that great. And it's the businesses that take that learning and turn it into opportunities that do really, really well and fly. So the customer survey, if it's done independently, done through somebody like the Engine, you will actually get great insight to be able to do better in business. And that's what I would hope that businesses would want to do better in business.
Well, one of the biggest challenges I hear when talking with business owners and entrepreneurs is that dreaded topic of cash flow. What do you need to do to keep the cash flowing in your business? Well, to help us out with some insight around this topic, we have expert in the studio. We have Lindsay Fisher from Scottish Pacific. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much.
Great to have you here. First of all, what is Scottish Pacific? Tell me all about it.
So Scottish Pacific is a business finance business. We specialise in debtor finance, or invoice finance is another term. And we've been operating in New Zealand for over 30 years with our head office in Australia, so we're the New Zealand arm of that.
Great. Now, I know there are people saying to me previously when I've talked about you online, what is actually debtor finance? Because it sounds a little scary for new entrepreneurs and business owners. What actually is it?
Really simply, debtor finance is about using your existing sales that you've already made to fund your business. So there is a delay between selling something and getting paid for it. And it could be 10 days, it could be you get paid the 20th of the following month, it could be 60 days or longer. So business owners need to manage their business and their cash flow during that period of time between producing a good or producing a service and delivering it and then finally getting paid. And they've got to cover all their expenses in that interim. So what debtor finance does is it bridges that gap. So you use your invoices as security, and our business gives you the cash from those invoices, up to 80% of them, on the day you put them through.
Wow.
And then the money comes through when it comes through.
So that's mind-blowing. So one of the questions I really want to know is debtor finance, is debt collection part of debtor finance?
Not debt collection, but managing the business's cash flow. So we do a number of different products, and when we do what we call a full service product, we can help small business owners who, if I take it back a step, most people go into business because they're good at something. They're good at making something, producing something, either a product or service.
Or good at talking like me.
They don't go into business to chase up accounts that are overdue, to send statements, to make calls and get someone to pay. So what our full service does is we'll take that away from you and do that. We'll send a monthly statement so your customers know what they owe. If they haven't made the payment on time, then we can give them a call and say, hey, look, payment was due here, but when may we expect that payment to come through? So it's some of those conversations where a business owner wants to stay on the client-facing customer sales front.
Yes.
And don't always want to have that same discussion with the accounts team. So we can do that.
And I think that's so important because it really, it keeps that relationship really clean. I want to say clean with your ideal client or with your customers. You don't have to, because often for entrepreneurs, the topic of money and getting paid is quite icky. Let's be honest.
Sometimes it's a difficult question to ask. So, business owners can be really great at pushing their brand and pushing their product and getting out there. But it's one of those difficult conversations that they don't like to have. Unfortunately, if you don't have that conversation, then you can find it really difficult to stay in business because you haven't got that cash flow flowing in, because the rent needs to be paid and the wages need to be paid and everything else.
Gotcha. So with my business owner entrepreneur hat on, how is debtor finance or invoice finance, how is that different than going, say, to a bank to get support?
So the main thing is how the funding is secured. So with the banks, if you use a business loan or a business overdraft, you need to put up some security. So normally for most small business owners, it's the family home. So you're putting the home on the line to secure the business debt, or you have other assets tied up in that. With invoice finance, we take security over your sales ledger. So we don't use property, we don't use any other assets. We just look at your ledger and we'll give you a percentage of that, normally 80%. So you can either use, if you do have security, you can use that to invest in something else and secure some other business that's making you money.
Or create more revenue, right?
Exactly. Or if you're just starting up or you don't have the security, we can still help you. We can still fund your business and get you off the ground. So you don't need to have 2 years worth of financials behind you. You don't need to have assets behind you. You can just come in with what your business is and who you sell to, and we can look at putting together a package that works.
Lindsay, that must create a lot of freedom or a lot of relief for your clients. Is that what you would normally experience?
We do. A lot of people that come in, and the reason we want to do this sort of thing is they haven't heard of what invoice finance is and what it can do. And a lot of the response is that, wow, I can do this. I can go out for myself and do this because, I've got the knowledge and I've got the skill set to do whatever they're going to do.
Right.
But I can't pay the wages every week until I get paid the following month. So that's where we can step and say, look, let's do it now.
So you're essentially their strategic partner when it comes to funding and that invoicing support, really.
Yeah, we look to really understand our customers. Look, it's always said we get close to our customers, we get to know them, but cash flow is the lifeblood of the business. And when you're handling a business's cash flow, you know all the ins and outs, and then we look to use that to really help them pinpoint errors and pinpoint issues that might come up. So if they have a lead customer that's not paying on time or becoming slower, it's like you want to go and have a conversation with that customer and really look at how much business are you doing with them? Are they struggling? Like, go and have that conversation now rather than putting more money out the door to them and then 3 months later they're not getting paid.
Wow. So is that movement, is that sort of a tailored solution per client? Is that something you would offer depending on that client's situation?
So we have our team here in Auckland, and every customer has their own client manager and that client manager's team. So there's several people you can call and you will get to know quite well. Whether it's the business owner or if you have someone separate doing the accounts, we like to have several different points of contact. And that way we only have a few customers per team so that we can really focus on what that customer does, what industry they're in, and then how can we help them? Do we see trends in the industry that they haven't seen yet that we can bring to them? Or do we have connections that can help their business because they're on this line and you're on that line, and can we bring you together because it would work together? So you can't do that when you've got thousands of clients, but you can do that when you're a little bit more niche and you can really get to understand them.
That's truly incredible. Look, finally, Lindsay, for our business owners and entrepreneurs, what's that one piece of wisdom that you would love to share on behalf of yourself and Scottish Pacific when it comes to cash flow, which we all know is king?
I think the main thing is find out about what's available in the market, because it's not just an overdraft or a business loan or a bank solution. Those guys are there and they have products that are good and do a good job for many people, but they don't always work. So if you are starting up a business, if things aren't going great, we can help with that as well. If they are going great, but you want to double in size or triple in size and you don't know how to make that next step, we can work there as well. So startup, growth, recovery, those are our 3 key areas that we focus on for businesses. Anyone that's in that B2B space, business to business, whether it's a mum and dad business, whether it's a multi-million-dollar business, anything in that SME space, give us a call and we'll soon work out if there's something we can do for you.
Lindsay, I love that. And I love the fact that it's about those partnerships for you and the importance of your relationship with your clients and their clients as well. I think that's truly incredible. Thank you so much for joining us in the studio.
Thank you for having me.
Now, if you want to find out more about how Lindsay and the team at Scottish Pacific can help, here's the details you need to know to be able to reach out and start that conversation. Lindsay, thank you again. A load of wisdom there. And I know there's a lot of people going to get in touch. Thank you. Well, for most business owners and entrepreneurs, yes, money keeps us up all night. So how do you, as a business owner, ensure you have a great night's sleep and look after your mortgage at the same time? Here to share some inspiration is the smarter mortgage lady, Rachael. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much.
So, Rachael, you're dealing with a whole lot of business owners and entrepreneurs who are wanting to get their first home or use that equity and get into their second home. But before we dive into that, let's talk about your own money journey. So tell me, how did you become a mortgage broker?
Well, I bought my first house with my sister, and I was at the time a single mum. I was self-employed, and so I was quite a challenging mortgage application, if you like.
So now you've been through that. What prompted you to dive into becoming a mortgage broker yourself?
Yeah, I had a really great experience myself, because when I went to the bank for my first mortgage, they actually said no. And then I engaged a mortgage advisor and I had a much more pleasant experience. And then so I actually stalked my mortgage advisor for a job and went to work for them for a number of years.
Wow, so that's how you got into the industry.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So a solo mum doing or giving back effectively from your own experience.
Yes.
So when you're working with people, are you hearing those same stories come through?
Yes, I am. You know, people really are finding it difficult when they go direct to a bank, and often what I do is I take their situation and I package it in a way that helps present them in the best possible light, if you like. And there are people who just don't know how to do it. It's super scary, it's challenging, it's nerve-wracking, and there's a whole lot of misinformation out there.
So true. And money pressure is obviously something for most business owners and entrepreneurs. We can't sleep. We're constantly worrying about it. And you've developed a brand, because this is a business show, all about having a smarter mortgage. So what's that about?
Well, it's not a dumb one.
True, yeah.
A smarter mortgage saves you time and money. It's got a loan structure that gives you certainty of cost, flexibility of early repayment, and peace of mind in terms of spreading your risk.
Okay. And risk is a thing that most of us as business owners and entrepreneurs do not like or are a little bit scared about.
Exactly.
How do you spread risk?
Well, one of the ways you can spread your risk with your mortgage is actually to spread it out across a number of fixed terms. So if next year interest rates rise and you've got a portion of your mortgage coming off, then you're not going to be worried that your whole mortgage is exposed to that. And then, you know, in terms of running your business with an income that comes from self-employment, a lot of business owners know that they bring in this amount of money, but in actual fact, after their expenses, this is the amount of money that we can use. And therein lies quite a difference between what they bring in and actually what we can use for servicing.
And of course, and it's that amount you can use for servicing which enables them to get that home loan, of course, right?
Yeah.
So what I want to know, obviously business owners, entrepreneurs, like you say, might be cash strapped, so their money might be stuck in their business. What are the key things they should consider if they're moving into that realm of home ownership, and especially, you know, self-employed people? We're seen as a big risk, let's be honest. So what are the things we can do to mitigate some of that risk, do you think?
Well, firstly, spending less than you earn. It's a really good place to start. Putting away money aside out of your business so that you might be putting it away for your GST or for your tax. So actually moving it out of your day-to-day account so that you're not likely to spend it by accident, because it's easy to spend it if it's there. And I always say to people that consolidating their debt, trying to have any debt and minimising that, paying it off first, but trying to have that as small as possible and in one place, rather than a credit card here and a store card over there and a personal loan here and a vehicle finance over there. Believe me, I get to deal with a lot of those too. So minimising the amount of debt you have and the amount of types of debt as well.
Now, one of the other things I want to highlight, which isn't involving money so much, but it's involving brand, because that's something you've developed really well. You've developed this brand of the Smarter Mortgage Lady. You walk into stores, into shops, and people are now recognising you as a Smarter Mortgage Lady. As a business tip for other business owners and entrepreneurs, what would you share with them about developing your brand?
Firstly, not being afraid to share your story. So I was told by someone about sort of 7 or 8 years ago to keep something for myself and not share my story. But interestingly enough, sharing my story as part of building my brand has actually attracted people to me. You know, I'm actually dealing now with a lot of single mums particularly, and sometimes I'm like, they're not the easiest application, but I actually feel so satisfied helping them. And then the first time buyers, you know, that are going and doing this and they're needing that help. So sharing your story, and people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And I'm passionate about helping people who are just like me, you know, and I think sharing my story has actually just really built my brand. It really has. It's on my car. I've got a digital strategy. You know, I'm actually called the Smarter Mortgage Lady and Rachael Thompson comes next kind of thing.
So true, so true. So final tips for people who are looking at going into using, maybe leveraging off their income from their business to buy their first home. What's that final tip you would want to share?
The final tip is having savings, you know, whether that's forced savings like KiwiSaver. It's meant a number of people have actually got into a home. And the other thing is, if there's the opportunity for family to help, don't be afraid of having that conversation, because if necessary, I can get involved as well. There are a number of parents out there who are likely to help their kids, wanting to, not necessarily knowing where to start. And I'm happy to be part of that conversation with the kids and with the parents.
And you work with everyone across the country?
Yes, right across the country.
Even better.
So don't be scared of a no, because it might be not right now, but that doesn't mean it's going to be no forever.
I love that. I often say in these shows, that's what Oprah would call a tweetable moment. So thank you, Rachael.
You're really welcome.
And if you're ready to reach out to Rachael and find out if you can get a smarter mortgage, here's the details. So get in touch and see if you can transform your mortgage into a smarter mortgage. Rachael, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
They say when you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. However, for a business owner or entrepreneur, there can be real challenges when it comes to running a successful, profitable and ethical business. Now, to talk us through some of those challenges, we have the Director of ERG Recruitment, John Harland, in the studio. John, kia ora, welcome.
Welcome. Thanks very much.
Yeah, great to have you here in the studio. So first of all, before we dive into some of those challenges of our business owners and entrepreneurs want to know about, tell me first of all a bit about ERG Recruitment.
Well, ERG Recruitment has been around for around 12 years now. It's a boutique, primarily blue-collar industrial recruiter, both labour hire and permanent recruitment, based in South Auckland, although we do work across the whole of Auckland City.
Wow, great.
It's a business that I've been in, or an industry that I've been in for just over 20 years, or well over 20 years to be fair, but it's an industry, as you said, that I love. But it has its challenges.
Well, one of the things that we are focusing on with this week's episode is, first of all, primarily the importance of partnerships and working together, but also, you know, I know our business owners really struggle, as we all do, with cash flow. So tell me about some of the challenges working in recruitment. You've got people to pay, you've got lives that you're changing. There are people who are coming from a position of never being employed and now relying on you for that source of income. How has that challenge been for you?
First of all, I'd like to acknowledge the fact that we do change people's lives. It's an industry that genuinely does that, and it's why I love it and have continued to love it over a long period of time. Cash flow is a cliche, but it's extremely important. When we first started out, you either got to have a very large bank overdraft facility, and a very compliant bank and generous bank, or you've got to put a lot of money in yourself. And obviously that's a very challenging situation when you've got a labour hire business, when you're paying 100 people or more, and with very high levels of wages that you pay every week on behalf of a client. So, we build up invoices in the system that well over 200,000, between 200, 300,000. And remember, we're a small boutique business.
Right.
So the challenge for a larger business is even greater. So cash flow, as I say, is extremely important. And the facility that we are provided with allows us to control and manage that cash flow scenario. Scottish Pacific, who I deal with, they're a debtor financing arrangement, and that allows me to have cash flow to pay the wages weekly, ensure that all our candidates and our employees, in fact, are paid on time every week, every day, including their holiday pay, all those contingencies that a lot of people don't think about, just take for granted, and to remain compliant with the law as well. So it's a very challenging situation financially.
Yeah.
Debtor financing allows me to control my clients and my candidates and get them paid, etc. But primarily to ensure that my business remains financially viable, and I don't lose control of my clients because I'm in charge of the debts.
And that's really good to know. That's really good to know. So it's not like for you with debtor financing, it's not some random people ringing your clients chasing up debts.
Correct.
Because that really impinges on the relationship you have with your clients, right?
Oh, absolutely. And that's very important to us. And remember, our clients are both our employees. If you look at our our candidate base, then they're our employees. So it's very important to maintain that relationship with them and get them paid on time, etc. But we also rely on our clients to give them jobs. So they are extremely important. That relationship thing is true about any business.
Absolutely. And, going online and reading about your business and reading how important those relationships are for you, your very heart-centric business. And we're going to hear more about your business later in the series. But hearing how important those relationships are and the importance of trust. Was that the reason? Why did you go to work with Scottish Pacific as opposed to working with a bank? What was the driver? Was it that relationship?
Oh, absolutely. The banks are were at the time harder on lending to businesses which had not a lot of security within the business. So with debtor financing, the debt itself becomes the security. So the invoice is the security. They pay up front a proportion of that face value, and that allows me the cash flow to pay my employees, etc. And then when I collect that, they take their fee out of that and give me the balance every time that an invoice is paid. It's absolutely ideal for the recruitment industry. And Scottish Pacific have been very supportive of the industry over the number of years that I've been involved with them, and hence why I will continue to give my complete loyalty to them, because they've always treated our business with fairness, empathy, and realism, I suppose you could say. They support the RCSA, the professional body within the industry, and I've been a member of the RCSA for a long, long time. Very important because we have a code of behaviour that we adhere to, and Scottish Pacific have the similar sorts of ethics and values that are consistent with my business and in effect all RCSA members.
And this is one thing that I'm hearing more and more as I'm interviewing people for the show, is the importance of the alignment of values, the importance of the alignment of ethics. It's not just about the transaction within business. And that's something you were chatting with me before we did this interview today about the importance of that alignment of values. So that's been a really good fit with Scottish Pacific for you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's very important for our business. I mean, that's part of our value system. And this whole thing around changing people's lives. Yeah. We give people the opportunity to learn new skills, try different industries, and then ultimately they go from what we call temp to perm. I prefer to call it flexible workforce because it allows...
I love that. Yeah. I love that.
Flexible workforces are all around a business being able to flex their needs due to seasonality, due to business growth, all those things. And when businesses grow, they've got to ensure that that's sustainable growth. And to put permanent people on during that period is often a big risk because having to restructure or retrench existing people is not only an impingement on their, well, it's very, very costly, but it's also an impingement on their lives.
Yeah.
So you've got to really think about how we're treating people as well as the financial aspect of it.
Totally agree. Some great wisdom there. So if you had one final tip that you wanted to share with other people with regards to the power of those relationships, the strategic partnerships and cash flow, what would that piece of wisdom be from you?
Don't underestimate the importance of cash flow. I mean, everyone talks about it. It's often the cliche. But in our industry, and I think in every industry, cash flow is still king and always will be.
I love it.
It's what underpins a business and their future sustainability.
I love it. Thank you so much. As Oprah would say, that's a tweetable moment right there. So thank you so much, John. Now, if you want to find out more about what the great work that John is doing with ERG Recruitment, here's the contact details for you. Make sure you head to their website. This is John Harland. Right there. That's the man you need to talk to. Engage, retain, grow. And here's their website, ergnz.co.nz. John, an absolute pleasure to have you in the studio. And that's Lindsay as well. Make sure you get in touch with Lindsay if debtor financing is an option for you. Great to have you in the studio, John. A pleasure.
Thank you.